This is The Naked Patient, Beyond the Operating Room. Listen as Dr. Nicholas Howland talks with real patients about their real experiences with plastic surgery.
Hello and welcome to the Naked Patient Podcast. I am Dr. Nicholas Howland. With me today, one of my very best friends in the world, Megan DeLay.
Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Are you?
No, I'm pretty nervous.
So Megan was pretty nervous to come on here.
Pretty nervous.
If you're hearing this, that means hell froze over or Megan died, because I don't know that she's going to let me release this episode.
Yeah, I told Nick this morning that there was like a 99% chance that we weren't going to release this and that I would rather jump out of a plane instead.
And I will take that 1%, and I think we have skydiving lessons coming up.
Yeah, I think so. I think they're coming.
Dude, how long have we known each other?
I don't know. I was thinking about that on the way in today. Maybe 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, because you started at Lone Peak when?
I think I started in 2017 as a traveler.
Okay. Yeah, so that's where we met. So Megan was an OR nurse at Lone Peak Hospital, and I started my practice in 2017. Mm-hmm. And then at some point there in the fall, our paths crossed.
Yeah, because you had just started, or you were a new physician there, and I had just started as a travel nurse in October of 2017.
I don't know. He came out as a traveler first.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I was a traveler there for like 6 months, and then I liked it enough. Nice surgeons. Dr. Howland is pretty nice, so I decided to stay.
It's debatable.
And yeah, I was there for like 2 years after that.
That's debatable. So we developed a pretty fun repertoire at the hospital. I don't know. You were Lone Peak Hospital. I love. I think there's almost everybody there I really enjoy working with and have a good time with.
Yeah.
And that makes the whole work experience so much more enjoyable when you actually like the people you're with. Mm-hmm. Because in healthcare, you're with those people 12 hours a day. That's more your family than your family is. Yeah.
No, I agree. Like Lone Peak is one of my favorite jobs that I've had. Small little boutique hospital, as you like to say. The staff there is great.
Wait, as I like to say,
you do. Yeah, that's like a Dr. Howland thing. It's like a boutique hospital. That's how you explain it to your patients, and it is though. It's small and little.
I do. Here's the thing: if you're going to, let's say you're having like just a benign surgery, right? Like a cyst on your hand or a breast reduction. Mm-hmm. If you go to IMC is great. It's a massive hospital. They do a phenomenal job, but that's also part of the problem. They're doing heart transplants and liver transplants, and it's hard to give as much of a crap about the breast reduction or the cyst when you got these really serious cases going on. And so that's not to say that IMC doesn't care. It's just a bigger beast, and it's harder to have that level of boutique care.
Right.
And so at Lone Peak, I think you feel like that. Everybody feels super special there.
I agree. I actually stopped in earlier this week and said hi to Joyce, and I got to see the expansion. Oh, yeah. Yeah, they've expanded the whole surgical department. I couldn't believe it. It's a totally new place, and it's already not big enough, and they're going to have to add on 2 more ORs.
Sounds wild.
Yeah, it's nuts.
It's becoming like a known thing. I'm not going to be able to say it's boutique anymore.
No, not really.
I have to find a new boutique hospital.
Right.
Sorry, Brian Lyons. He doesn't listen. There's no way. If he does, I love you. You're my favorite CEO. So we then became friends.
Yeah.
Because we worked together. Right.
You're one of the very few surgeons who is easy to work with and who's nice to work with. I think it's fair to say that a lot of surgeons kind of have a big ego and are difficult to work with at times.
Oh, I have that.
Okay, you can. That's fair. You definitely can. But overall, you're pretty nice to work with.
I do try to be.
And I think it kind of just goes back to the idea of if you're nice to your staff, they're going to work 10 times harder for you than if you're yelling and throwing instruments across the OR.
Oh, yeah. Well, I've told you this story. I think I remember as a med student, my ex-wife's cousin, a weird lineage, but Dr. Matt Warnock, he's an orthopedic surgeon down in Houston, Texas, phenomenal surgeon. And he took me under his wing for a couple of weeks to kind of shadow him and see some surgeries. And I remember walking into the hospital with him one morning on morning rounds to see some of his patients. And he knew and stopped with every single person in that hospital, I felt like. Like even the janitors, he was like, "Hey, Michael, what's up? How's your day today?" And they were so excited to see him, like, "Oh my God, it's Dr. Warnock." And the nurses, the lab techs, like every single person that saw him, I felt like wanted to at least say hi and be kind, and he was kind back. And I was so impressed by it. Dude, what do you do? Is everybody else on salary? Like, do you pay people under the table here? What's happening? And he's like, "Listen, let me tell you something. This healthcare is such a like totem pole environment, and it breeds such like animosity from the top. And if you can treat the people who are considered the lowest on the totem pole just as well as you're treating the people at the top of that totem pole, they will bend over backwards for you because they don't get that treatment anywhere else." And I always tried to embody that in the way that I kind of practiced and was trained. And so just be kind. Like if you're kind, then it makes all the difference in the world. When I was a resident, we had to go, we would show up for like morning rounds super early. And that meant you had to get there like 3 a.m., go see 20 patients. And if you were like the young resident, you had to write all their labs down. There were nurses that I was nice enough to, and that we had a good enough rapport that I would show up and they would hand me the labs. And
that's awesome.
Some residents did not take kindly to that. But the whole point is just be nice, and people will go the extra mile for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, at Lone Peak, that's absolutely how it was. And I'm sure at Canyon Crest and wherever else you operate, that you are kind and people do want to go that extra mile for you.
Yeah. Except you're Melinda. Then I just give her crap.
Unless you're Melinda and you call her Matt.
Sorry, that's a terrible shout out without explaining the story. Melinda Oldred was one of my scrub techs at Lone Peak Hospital for the same time frame as you. Like she also was.
She kind of started around that same time.
She was newer there, and she was, for whatever reason, always in my cases. And I loved working with Melinda. And I would give her a lot of crap, but she would give it right back. It was a ton of fun.
Yeah.
So when did I'm trying to kind of piece together, like outside of work, our friendship.
I think that was a little bit later. I think that was like the following summer. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So probably like 2018. So 4 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you came into the hospital, I think late fall or like winter time, 2017. And you come, this is how I remember it. So obviously this is how it happened. You come marching into the OR one day and you're like, guys, because this is how you talk. It's true. Guys, I found out exactly what I'm going to do next summer. Get this. I'm going to climb the highest point in every county in Utah. I'm done. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah. No, I think that's fair. I think that was partly.
But could you say it how you said it?
You are right. I did walk into the OR and say it like that when I'm really excited about things. I do talk like that. No, I remember that because I think that was kind of like a hard thing for me to accept was, I'd been doing the travel nurse thing for a couple years and here I was taking a permanent job. And that's just such a big piece of who I am is like traveling and exploring and climbing mountains. And I felt that taking a permanent job in Salt Lake City would kind of like limit me or take away that piece of me. So that winter, I was desperately searching for different ideas or goals that I could work on while I was in Salt Lake City long term. And I can't remember where I'd heard that idea or came up with that goal, but it just sounded like a lot of fun. I told myself, I'm going to go out there and hike the highest peak in every Utah county. And yeah, it was a great goal because it was like, easily attainable in the sense that none of the peaks are technical. They're all, they're not.
This is where we debate.
They're not technical. Like, you don't need to like rope in or go rock climbing on any of these peaks. They're all non-tech.
Twin Peaks, Knife's Edge.
Yeah, it's like a class 4 scramble, but non-technical.
This is Megan calling me out for being a wuss here. Okay, but
yeah, so they're all non-technical is the point. And that's why it was such a great goal. So I set this goal. I'm going to go out and climb these mountains. And then,
my hubris. The hubris of Dr. Howland. That sounds like a really cool goal. I will beat you at that goal. And Megan's like, no, it's not a competition. Like, I'm just going to do this. I'm like, yeah, it's a competition now.
Yeah, well, that was the thing. It was never a competition, but you turned it into a competition.
Obviously, everything's
a
competition.
And it got kind of ugly for a little bit. It got very competitive.
Oh, it was
like bad competitive.
Relationships were formed.
Yes. And it kind of took over my life that summer and the following summer.
So here's something that I did to like really like just kind of drive a nail into Megan's competitive heart. Is you had gone out and tried one.
I had tried one and failed miserably because that was like a high snowpack year. I'm actually thinking back on this. I think it was maybe 2019 because that's when we had so much snow.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
And because we tried Signal Peak together, and that was around Mother's Day.
Was that first?
Yeah, that was like Mother's Day weekend.
So we did that first, and then we went back and separately did Ellen.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So Megan and I actually tried. We planned this trip. We're like, you know what? We're gonna go try Signal Peak. Signal Peak's the highest point in Washington County. And it was Memorial or Mother's Day weekend?
It was Memorial Day weekend. Yeah. So you would think pretty late in the year that there wouldn't be that much snow. Yeah. And I think most years it would have been doable, but this year it was not.
Oh, we got like 2-3 miles up the thing and it was 6 feet of snow.
Yeah.
We tried our damnedest to get up through it.
Yeah, it got pretty ugly pretty quick. Really deep snow, lots of like boulders that we were walking over, and you're post holing through these or like around these boulders. We're trying not to break our legs.
Yes. So we did not finish.
No, we did not.
Well, here's the thing. Can you imagine had we gotten up to the plateau? We'd have died.
Yeah, no, there's no way. Because we really weren't even that close. Like at the time, I felt like we were close, but having gone back and done it successfully, those like meadows up at the top would have been, 10 feet of snow. Yeah. There's absolutely no way. Yeah. We had no idea what we were doing.
No, we did not.
Yeah.
So we did not finish. There's a whole story to that. Maybe we'll come back to.
Yeah, let's circle back to that because I do think that's important.
Yeah. But so after that, I think a month or two later, I went out and did Mount Ellen.
But wait, can we back up a little bit? There's a little bit more to that story for that weekend. Because we tried to do Signal Peak. Mm-hmm. We also tried to do the Kane County High Point, which is a no-name high point. It was just a spot alongside the road that you kind of hike up to. So we attempted that. And same thing. So our initial plan was to go down to St. George for the weekend and hit 3 peaks. Like, oh yeah, we're total badasses. We're gonna hit 3 peaks. We've got this. They're gonna be easy. Some of them are drive ups. So Signal didn't work out because there was so much snow. Mm-hmm. And then we tried the Kane County High Point. Same situation. It was just an incredible amount of snow. And then we even tried to do Bryan Head, but again, there was too much snow. We couldn't. And I kind of...
That's right, dude.
Yeah.
I remember that.
It was kind of discouraging.
Yeah. Bryan Head is typically a drive up.
Right.
And we got there and the road was completely covered in snow.
Yeah, you couldn't drive up. So it was going to be miles of walking through this terrible snow.
I forgot about that.
And so it was kind of discouraging to set this goal that we're going to go out and crush 3 mountains this weekend, and we didn't do a single one.
Oh yeah, we were pissed.
It's kind of sucked.
Yeah.
So then you were saying, so then a little bit of time passed, we let a little bit of snow melt. So now we're like into like mid-June.
And I went and did Mount Ellen. Not with you.
No, not with me.
And conquered Mount Ellen. There was still snow up at the top of Mount Ellen.
Oh, yeah.
It added 2 miles to the hike because the road was covered. And so we actually had to hike past these snow drifts. But that one we covered and got to the top.
Yes.
And I came back from that weekend, printed off, went to Lone Peak Hospital, printed off like blank county maps of Utah. And then I colored in the Garfield County from Mount Ellen and put my name on that map and then put your name on the empty map and then hung it up in the OR on the OR wall where like everybody could pass and see it and see that I was winning the county high point challenge.
That was kind of a turning point when you did the little county maps. Because not only was it, just like a jab coming from you, but then the entire department and every surgeon that walks through there was like, they would stop at the front desk and they would ask, "Oh, what is this?" And I would have to explain that I had a goal I had a goal to hike these county high points. Nick turned it into a competition.
Dr. Howland was winning that goal.
And then Dr. Howland was winning that goal. It was terrible. So
that was probably the only time I ever was in the lead.
No, that is not true. There were a couple times that you were ahead. You would sneak out on weekends and bang out like a couple at a time.
That's true.
And it would really piss me off. Because then I did Mount Ellen like a week after you with my brother, and it was miserable. There was so much snow up there, and I just think we chose probably the worst year in history to try and do this goal. But as it turns out, I finished way ahead of Nick. And
well, can I say there are a few, so most of these county high points have a sign-in log at the top. And I will just say there are a few sign-in logs that I went to and found no record of Megan DeLay being at the top of this mountain.
I was there. I was there.
I'm just saying the record doesn't confirm.
I have pictures on my phone. You can go back on my Garmin watch and check it out.
What's the one, like the big plateau drive up near Garfield?
Bluebell.
Bluebell Knoll.
Yes.
You didn't hit Bluebell Knoll. Just it's if you can admit it on the podcast, it's okay.
I was really close. I was really close, but I technically did not get to the top.
I technically did not get to the top of Willard.
Okay.
And I colored it in.
Okay, so we're even.
And I'm admitting it to you now.
I didn't know that, but we're even, so it's okay.
Yeah. But I will go back to Willard.
I will go back to Bluebell because it's a drive up. Okay. And here's what's so crazy about it too, though. So like my poor brother, my poor brother.
Oh, he got dragged all over for these things.
He doesn't really like to go out much. He prefers to stay at home. That's where he's most comfortable. But my poor brother, I drug him up more than half of these mountains, more than anyone else. And it was kind of enticing, I think, or a selling point for me to say to him, "Hey, let's go hit this county high point." And he would ask how hard it is. And I was like, it's 10 miles, this much gain, whatever. But there was a couple that are drive ups. And I think he was excited to do Bluebell because it's usually a drive up. It ended up being our most difficult high point.
You guys had a miserable time.
It was awful. Like, again, the snow was terrible. So we'd done Ellen the day before. So we're a little bit tired from that. Drove around the mountain and decided to hit Bluebell. And we had to park, I don't know, like 3 or 4 miles away from the peak. And it was just a super, super deep snow. And it was also raining at the same time. And there was like this great big like thunder and lightning storm up there as well. There was lightning bolts around us. It was terrifying. There was also like some of like, it was, later in the season, it's June. So the snow was melting and you could hear all of these like rivers rushing underneath the snow. And we were afraid to fall into those. it was probably the most dangerous one that we did, which is crazy because it's supposed to be the easiest.
Oh, for sure. So this county high point goal, it was the first time in my life I've learned to respect a mountain.
Yeah.
Like I have 3 that I haven't done. Well,
I thought 2.
Asterisk if you include.
No. Let's just say 2.
There's actually 3.
You have Wasp?
I haven't done Mount Wasp because I turned around 800 feet from the top of that thing.
I know that's.
I mean, there was
hard.
There was a storm that kicked up that would have killed us.
Yeah, no, I believe it.
Like no doubt.
I remember that weekend. You were telling me, you're like, yeah, we slept in, and I'm like, oh, it was like August. I was like, that's not the time to sleep in.
Yeah, no. And then I have Twin Peaks, which I've tried twice, and I've turned around on the knife edge from vertigo.
Yeah.
And then I have Mount Ibapa, which is just West Desert.
Oof. Yeah, that's a rough one as well.
Yeah.
But they're all doable.
Yeah.
They're all very doable.
Twin, I think I need somebody with me.
I'll go.
That's done it.
Pick me.
Okay.
I'll go.
Let's do it.
Let's do it next summer.
I'm in.
Yeah.
But it was such a cool goal that you said. I don't think you realize the impact that had on my life.
Really?
Just number one, it really gave me a love for hiking. Like I was never a big hiker.
No.
And to begin with, I came back to Utah in 2017. I started dating a girl who loved to hike, and she would drag me on hikes with her. And she was one of those people that she actually loves, like, the work and the process. Like, she's just climbing and her legs are burning. She's like, yeah, this feels so good. Feel that burn. I'm like, oh, I fucking hate you. But she at least gave me that love of, like, getting somewhere beautiful and getting to an end result that you're like, oh, this is pretty cool. And then the county high points, though, that, like, every one of those, I found a new place in Utah that I would have never known existed. And I came to appreciate Utah so much through that. Like, there's not a place in Utah that I can drive to where I can't look up and say, I've been there.
That is one of my favorite things about this goal is, like, it took me to corners of Utah that I never ever would have went to otherwise. Yeah. Like Bull Mountain in Box Elder County, way northwest Utah. It was beautiful. Yeah. And you have these great views of the Salt Lake up there. So that was probably my favorite piece of it, was that it took you to places that you wouldn't have explored otherwise. And then kind of what you were saying, you know, you're driving down I-15 and you can look out in any direction and say, I've been at the top of that mountain. I've climbed that. I've been over there. Oh, wow. I have a really great story about Signal Peak over here. Mm-hmm. And it just brings back all of these memories.
Yeah. And it really developed in me such a love for our state, such a love for hiking. I still hate hiking.
Really?
The process of it. Yeah. No part of it feels good to me. Like, my legs are burning. I'm having a hard time breathing, but I know that I'm going to appreciate the end goal. And so I do love to do it.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I do enjoy hiking, but I think mostly it's mental. Like, I don't really like the physical piece of it, but I like the mental piece of it. I'm not really a person who likes to just, like, get on a trail and hike for fun. But if there's a peak to reach or a high point to reach, I love that. It's a game changer. Exactly. I don't know what it is.
Exactly. Like, just if it was just like a walk through the woods.
Yeah, not really my thing.
I don't think I do that. But, like, to actually have that goal.
Yeah. If there's a lake, that's cool. But if it's like the top of a mountain and you can't go any higher, you've maxed out, that's what I love.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And yeah, you really put a lot of that into me. So I'm so glad you had that goal, because it pushed me. It became a huge part of my relationship that I was in.
Yeah, I remember that.
That's something I wouldn't trade for anything. Like, even though that relationship didn't work out, I would never trade those weekends away. Like, it taught me a lot.
Good. No. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah. Good. I enjoyed coloring my map in.
That was also my favorite thing. Was there would be times I was like, wow, this, I'd be halfway up a mountain. I'd think, this really sucks. I kind of want to turn around right now. But then I would remember that map waiting for me at work. And I remember how good it would feel to like take a highlighter and like color it in all super perfect. And then post about it on Instagram and Facebook and rub that in Dr. Howland's face.
Can we talk about what happened to those maps?
Where are they?
They got thrown away. Don't you remember that? So we showed up to Lone Peak one day. Names will not be named, but we know who it was.
Oh.
And somebody threw away those maps. Like to the point that I was like, went to the CEO and was like, I need to see the video recordings because whoever threw these away, I am going to murder.
I forgot about that. Yeah. I tend to block out bad things in my life. I block that out. That is really upsetting. I wanted to frame those.
I did too. But I will say, I gave you and myself like one of the favorite gifts I've ever purchased.
Mine too.
Like, so Megan and I both have these 3D topographical maps of Utah, which I had custom made, and they highlight like each county and the high point and what the elevation is. And it's like my favorite piece in my home.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely my favorite piece of artwork I have in my home. It's also the best gift I've ever received. It's the best gift I've ever given. Yeah, so. It absolutely blew me away. Like, I
gave somebody a car once. It wasn't as good as that.
Yeah, it's a very beautiful piece of artwork, but just the sentiment behind it, it was just insane.
Yeah, for me, it was just like, hey, this is something we are doing together, and it means a lot to me.
Yeah, me too.
Anyway.
Yeah, I will never take that off my wall.
No, God, no.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go back to Signal Peak.
Okay, yeah, let's do it.
So we came down because, again, that weekend solidified our friendship forever.
It really did. Because we were friends before, but not to this depth after this weekend.
Yeah. And I'm going to say why. You might not agree with, well, I think you will. I think where I'm going with this might be a little different than what you think.
Okay.
So we come down off this mountain, and we were supposed to get off the mountain at like 7 p.m. And it was like 2 p.m. when we got off this mountain.
Yeah, if that, we still had a whole day ahead of us.
So we spent the next 10 hours at camp just hanging out.
And it wasn't even that great of a camp either. We were just like on a little like pull out alongside the road, like to the trailhead of this mountain.
Yeah, it's literally, if you've ever been to like, God, what is the name of that mountain range down there? I can't even think of the name of the range. It's outside of St. George, but it was a terrible camping spot.
Yeah, but it was like all we could really get. We're like, we could camp, like an hour away and have a nice spot, or we could just camp right here at the trailhead. And, there's like cars going by. It was also, in a way though, it was very pretty. It's like, it was a total like desert landscape. You have like some pines in there, lots of cactus around.
They were flowering.
Yes, they were flowering, a little bit of red rock. So the area was pretty, but we were right on this road. We had like 10 square feet of space.
Yeah. We had a conversation that night. Well, first of all, it was funny. We had we had the rest of this bottle of tequila that we had purchased months before.
Yeah.
And like half of it was not finished. And so we decided we're going to finish this bottle of tequila because it's brought nothing but bad luck.
Yes.
Why was there bad luck?
Because I felt like any time that you and I both drank out of that bottle of tequila, something bad would happen. Not like in our individual lives, but like in our friendship, like something would kind of go south in our friendship. And during our afternoon there, after our failed attempt at Signal Peak, we blamed the bad patches in our friendship on this bottle of tequila.
That's right. I think we even blamed the snow on the tequila. So
we kind of did. We're like, whenever we drink out of this, nothing goes our way.
So we finished it and then broke it.
Yes.
In the fire on purpose.
Yes.
Because we were trying to shatter this bad juju.
We were trying to break that curse.
Okay, so we're at Signal Peak. We're breaking this bottle of tequila because it's been bad luck. And something comes up. You catch me in a lie.
Yes.
And I remember, I think I had told you, I was in Montana with this girl. And you're like, wait a minute.
You had told me that when we first met, you were telling me that you were in my hometown in Montana by yourself. Mm-hmm. No big deal. Whatever. And then it just kind of casually came up in this conversation that you weren't alone and that it was a lie. Not that it was like a huge lie, but it was a lie, which I felt like lying and being honest had been problems in our relationship prior to this.
Yeah. Well, you called me out on it.
Yes.
Pretty hard, which was new for me. And here's something that I have learned about me over the last year. So I was married for 10 years and got divorced. And after a relationship like that ends, it can kind of change you, especially for me, not really. I got married young. I went on a mission, went from 20 to 22 years old. I got married when I was 23 years old, like a year later. And so I didn't have a whole lot of dating experience before my marriage. And then after my marriage, I was so devastated and depressed that I started developing defense mechanisms to avoid ever being hurt like that again. And so I would start dating multiple people at a time. And I would lie to every one of them. Everybody thought that they were the only person that I was dating. And in my mind, I was just I wasn't doing anything wrong. I was just hedging my bets. And I thought, if one person breaks up with me, at least I'll have these 4 or 5 other people, and I won't ever have my heart broken like it was after a divorce. Now, that's not a healthy pattern of living or behavior, but I've recognized that became my pattern. And so with you, even though we were friends, I had developed this idea that if I was dishonest, the idea was if I was honest, that might ruin a friendship or a relationship, and that hurts. So I don't want to go back to that. So I was constantly telling these lies in order to avoid potential conflict or potential problem in a relationship. And that was an issue. And I remember we were sitting at that campfire and I said something, forgot the little white lie I had told you. And you're like, whoa. Hold the phone, bro. Like, you told me you were there alone. And I doubled down and tried to cover it up. And you're like, no, like, this is not okay. If we're going to be friends, you can't lie to me. And I think at first I was angry.
Yeah, I remember later you saying that you were angry about it. Mm-hmm. I think in the moment you were angry, and then mostly on the drive back home the next day, you were really angry. And you were kind of thinking like, wow, like these peaks didn't work out this weekend. I'm not going to be friends with Megan anymore. Yeah.
Well, and this wasn't like a Megan called me out and all of a sudden we were best friends story. I lied to you again several months later on your birthday.
Yeah, you've lied lots of times.
Yeah, and really hurt your feelings. And every time that I've lied, you have called me out. You've said, that's not how a friendship works. And you've forced me to own it. Sorry. But you've always been my friend.
Yeah.
I don't deserve that.
I think you do. I think everyone does.
But I'm grateful for it. And God, this wasn't in mind. That's the beauty of our friendship and our relationship is you have shown me that a real friendship and a real relationship revolves around honesty and not just about saying or doing whatever it takes to not hurt the other person.
Right.
And it's more important to be honest, even if it's going to hurt that other person, than it is to try and cover that up and protect them. Anyway.
Sorry, I wish I had something really insightful to say right now.
I think what you've done is very insightful. So I love you.
I love you too.
That was the crux of our friendship right there.
It really was.
Where it started was Signal Peak.
Yeah, it was Signal Peak, talking about our friendship and just like opening up this like very like honest, genuine line of communication between each other. Mm-hmm. It hasn't been perfect since, but I think it's only gotten better. And I think when I think about like my best friends and who I'm closest to and who I'm most honest with, like you're one of the first people that comes to mind.
Same. And it's been really beautiful because now, you know, I'll have a weekend or a time in my life when I make choices that aren't my favorite choices. And you'll call me up and be like, how's things going? I'm like, bro, here we go. And I just am in a space now where I'm very comfortable having an honest discussion with you. And it's created a depth to our relationship that is not there in a lot of other relationships. And now I don't want any relationship that's not at that level.
Same.
Like it just, they feel inauthentic and superficial and just not as important to me anymore.
I agree.
God, I didn't know you were going to get to me.
I didn't either. You've been crying all day. And this was supposed to be like a fun...
That's what happens on this podcast.
A fun podcast about our friendship, which it is.
Absolutely. So, okay, after you falsely beat me at the county high points.
No, I did beat you, though.
So, what's your next goal? You've been doing a lot of state high points.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's a great question. That was like one of those things that like... So I finished this county high point goal and it was fantastic. You know, I dedicated 2 summers of my life, you know, like any free weekend I had. We were outside playing in the mountains. It was fantastic. When it came to an end, it was kind of sad. You know, it's like, wow, you know, I put all this work into it. I had so much fun doing this. What's next? Like, how do I find like that next high kind of? So I put a lot of thought into like what I want to do next. I don't live in Salt Lake full time anymore, unfortunately. So my time is scattered in different cities as a travel nurse. But if I were to move back, or maybe when I move back to Salt Lake full time, I think like the first goal that I really want to work at is hiking the highest peak in every mountain range in the state of Utah. There's 80 mountain ranges in Utah, and I would like to hike the highest peak in each of those 80 mountain ranges.
I could beat you at that.
I don't think you could. You're so. I don't think. Okay, obviously you're able to, but you're so busy. you have a family, you have this practice, you're always traveling, you have a million side hustles and projects. I'm just, hiking and being a nurse. I don't have a lot going on. But yeah, no, I would love to do the highest point in all 80 mountain ranges in Utah. More than that, I would like to hit the highest point in all 50 states. I think that would be really fun. I've kind of been torn about that goal because I think a lot of those states would be a little bit boring. Not boring though. I can't really even say that though. It's like, well, yeah, like
I've done some boring ones. I know, like North Carolina. I've done Tennessee.
Well, those ones are good. But like, what about like Iowa or like Kansas or Florida?
Yeah,
that's probably not going to be a lot of fun. But at the same time, like, had you said, like starting at the beginning of our Utah County High Points goal, drive up to the top of Box Elder County, Bull Mountain. Mm-hmm. Does that sound like fun? Not really, because it's a drive up and there's nothing up there. But looking back, I think of all those memories that I have with my brother.
Yeah.
So who's to say that like, flying or driving out to Kansas and hitting that high point wouldn't be exciting. Yeah. Your car might break down on the way there, or, you might have some kind of like, private land versus public land issue and you're trespassing or whatever it might be. I think like anywhere you go, you're going to have a great story.
Yeah. Just getting to see those spots of the country.
Right.
That you wouldn't otherwise see, just like seeing all the spots of Utah that you wouldn't otherwise see.
Yeah, exactly.
So we had a guy in our men's group challenge us recently to an oh shit goal, which is a goal that you set that just as soon as you say it, it kind of makes you feel like, oh shit. Like that's either something that's physically demanding and that scares you. Mm-hmm. And the first thing that came to my mind was the high point in every state. Yeah. Because there are some of those high points
that's the thing. They actually get technical, which I'm excited about, though.
Like Wyoming's high point, Montana's high point. Those are technical.
Hikes. Like Rainier being like the perfect example.
1,000%.
Yeah, it's 14,000 feet with like 10,000 vertical feet of gain, or even actually more than that. I think you kind of almost start at like sea level, and then climb up to 14,000 feet. And it's like a full-on like mountaineering experience. Yeah. It's not what we did here in Utah.
Several of those I would hire a guide for.
Oh yeah, well you have to.
Yeah,
you have to, unless you can, say like, oh hey, like I'm a mountaineering guide on the weekends or whatever, and I have the skills to do this. So I would love to do the state high points. I think it would take you a lot of really great places. You'd have lots of great stories. I think it's like kind of similar to the national park goal I had as well.
We haven't talked about that. You've done a ton of national parks.
Yeah, we haven't even talked about that. But I think that's like, it just kind of, it's all related and it kind of goes back to that. So I think when was that? I think it was probably 2015. I had just graduated nursing school and I had realized that I had been to all of the Utah national parks and Montana. Mm-hmm. Cool. And I said, well, why don't
Montana just Glacier?
Glacier and Yellowstone, technically. There's like a little sliver of Yellowstone in there. And I thought, okay, that's cool. Yeah, that was really fun to see all those national parks. And I thought, what if I just keep going? And at the time, there were 59 national parks. Today, there are 63 national parks. And I set a goal to visit every national park in the U.S. Before age 30. Mm-hmm. And I almost did it.
It was a big goal.
It was a big goal. It was very time consuming in a good way.
Yeah. How many do you have left?
I have 6 left. Okay.
Mostly Alaska ones.
Yeah. So I have 5 in Alaska and 1 in American Samoa. And like when I set the goal, it kind of took over my life, but again, like in a good way. I planned out every vacation I got for the next like 4 or 5 years. And I think I would have finished, or I know I would have finished had it not been for COVID. That, COVID hit right before my 30th birthday. You couldn't get to Alaska. You couldn't get to American Samoa. So I didn't quite finish. I was
going to come to American Samoa.
No, I know.
Celebrate your 30th birthday.
Everyone was. It was going to be this like great big like open invite celebration, 30th birthday / I finished all my national parks on my 30th birthday, which I still want to go back and do all of these things. Now that travel is more open, I would love to get back to Alaska and finish the parks that you either have to fly to or take a boat to. And of course, American Samoa. Yeah.
That's dope. You're a cool chick.
Thanks. Yeah, no, there's lots of goals. I also want to hit like all of the 14ers in Colorado. I think that would be fun. The list is never ending.
No, there's a lot of cool stuff. The 14ers in Colorado would be awesome.
Yeah. And some of those get a little bit technical.
Yeah.
Which maybe that could be
Every time you say they get a little bit technical, I feel like you're saying you couldn't do this. It's like code for these are things Nick can't do.
No, I don't. Oh, sorry. I thought you were saying that I couldn't do it. And then I really like reflected like inside myself and thought about that. And I'm like, yeah, like some of those 14ers in Colorado. Yeah, I don't want to do because I'm not that experienced with like technical climbs. Mm-hmm. So I would have to like hire a guide or just like learn that. And that kind of scares me. Yeah. But of course you can do anything. Yeah, of course.
All right. We're going to shift gears here.
Okay. Oh, plastic surgery.
Yeah. Dude, that's why you're on the show. I know. You've had it.
Yes.
You want to? Do you want to talk about your surgeries at all?
Yeah,
you don't have to.
Yeah, no, we can talk about that.
Okay. What you have
done? So I've had a few things done. I had a rhinoplasty when I was younger, not with Dr. Howland. And then I also had a lip lift and a BBL.
Those aren't by me. Those were by me.
Yes, that is correct. I couldn't hear you. Sorry. Do we need to redo that? Do we need to redo any of this?
No, we don't need to redo anything.
Okay.
This all sounds fabulous. So we did a lip lift. We did a BBL, which is short for Brazilian butt lift. Mm-hmm. And where we liposuction tummy, sides, back, and we put some of the fat back in your butt.
Yes.
And a lip lift is actually, I don't do a lot of the it's not like, oh, I don't do those. It's lip lifts just aren't very commonly performed. Nobody out there is doing 1,000 lip lifts a year.
No.
And so you take for the right patient, somebody with a long upper lip, you take a rim of skin and muscle out from just underneath the nose. And that helps kind of lift the upper lip up, shorten it, and give you a more full lip, more symmetric mouth.
Yeah. That's probably been my favorite thing.
Really?
That you've done.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, and I didn't think it would be that big of a deal. Mm-hmm. But I've never really liked my smile. I've never really liked my teeth or my lips or just like my mouth in general. And then a couple years ago, you actually introduced me to Dr. Scott Vincent.
Mm-hmm. Scott Vincent.
He's the best. If you need braces, any kind of like orthodontia, go to Scott Vincent. Mm-hmm. He is fantastic. So I did.
And he looks good too.
Yes. Yeah. No. Well, that also helps too. Yeah, he really does. Yeah. I had braces twice as a kid and headgear. But just growing up like in a rural area, I think the guy that was in our area was just kind of a quack and didn't do a very good job.
Okay.
So I got braces for a third time with Scott Vincent. And that was honestly like life-changing. The way I look, the way I eat, everything is different. And then I had been using lip filler for a while just to kind of enhance my lips a little bit, mostly my upper lip. I didn't really like that.
Let's talk about the first time we did lip filler, because I think this is interesting. And this is a little bit of a plug for my med spa. So Megan tells me I would like some lip filler. And I say,
No. This is wrong.
No, this is not.
Okay, go on.
You misremember.
Go on.
I say, oh, you're my friend. Sure, let's get some lip filler. So I bring some lip filler over.
Oh, hold on. Let's back up because this is actually wrong. The way it was you were in a hurry at work. You were trying to like get to the airport, or you had some kind of activity or event going on that night.
It doesn't sound like me.
And you said, hey guys, hey OR Lone Peak staff.
Oh, I do remember this.
If we can turn over this room this fast, you all get lip filler for free.
I do remember this.
And so I grabbed my best friend, Kelly McDaniel, and I said, let's go clean this room. And we cleaned that room as fast as we could.
Yes,
and we did it within that time. So we got our lip filler.
Yes, you did.
That's actually how it went.
Okay. So you get your lip filler. And a part of it was a little asymmetric.
A lot of it was.
A small part of it was a little asymmetric.
Okay.
And I ever since then, you've gone to my spa instead of me.
Yeah. Well, no, I like, not that you did a bad job, but I just think like the nurse injectors at Clarity do a fabulous job.
Yeah. Oh, here's the great plug that I tell. Listen, I have patients who come in all the time to me who are
because
like,
they're doing that all day, every day.
They're like, I want the plastic surgeon to inject me. That's the only one that I trust. And sure, I have advanced skill with the anatomy. I understand it. My nurse injectors are doing lips all day long.
Every day.
That's it.
And they do a really, really good job.
And I'm doing lips 2-3 times a month.
Right.
Like, go to the people who do this
like Brooke
every day.
Brooke at Clarity is the best.
Phenomenal.
She's insane.
They're all good.
Yeah. So so I was using filler for a while, and I liked it. I liked the way it looked, but it didn't seem like a very like permanent solution. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to be, like 70 years old and still relying on filler to make my lips look that way. So I had seen like on Instagram, different places like that about like a lip lift. You and I had talked about it and decided that it was a good option. And I love it. Like that has been like my favorite thing that you've done. Good. I don't know. It's like one of those things.
When we post this on like that 1% chance that we're going to post it.
Oh, we're not.
We'll put up before and afters.
No, we don't have before and afters.
Of your lips? Yeah, I do.
Remember? Because I got filler the day before and I asked you, I was like, can I get filler before my before and afters? I probably shouldn't, right?
We didn't take any befores?
No. I had befores, but then for the afters, like it was just my lips. And then it was like the day before, like that day that I was like supposed to get like my after pictures. I was like, I'm going to get lip filler because I'm only in town for this day. I probably shouldn't until like after these pictures, right? And you're like, no, just do whatever you want. And I was like, are you sure you don't care about these like before and afters? Like, just do whatever. And then I showed up for my before and afters and you're like, why do you have filler in your lip again? And I was like, well, you said I could. You're like, I did? Yes.
We'll just take some close-ups of your lips today.
Okay.
Easy.
Yeah, no, they look great.
Yeah. You're fabulous.
It's like one of those things, like I was always like so like self-conscious. Like I think, well, especially like living in Utah where everyone is so active, like everybody has these like pictures online, sunglasses on or like their ski goggles on. And it's just like this like great, big, beautiful, like white smile. I never had that. And I was like very insecure about that until Scott Vincent and Dr. Howland.
Scott Vincent mostly.
Both. Equal. They're equal.
Scott Vincent, the Clarity Nurse injectors, followed by other injectors, followed by, regular skincare products, then Dr. Howland.
That is not true. You're all equal. You're all equal.
BBL?
Yeah.
Life-changing, not life-changing?
That's a hard question to answer.
No, listen, I so many times we do this podcast and people are like, oh my God, Dr. Howland's the best. Like, this is why I love you. There's like, I want people on here who have been like, yeah, it was okay. Or no, I hate it.
I think like, I don't know. That's just like a hard question to answer. I think like ultimately, yes, it was like positive. It was a good change in my life. But I don't know. I guess it's hard to answer because like I've gained like a fair amount of weight since I had the surgery. Mm-hmm. So it's hard to like compare my body at a higher weight now with the BBL to like how it was before. I guess like with that being said, like even though I weigh more now than I have ever weighed, even now that I've had like the BBL done, I still do feel comfortable wearing clothes that I wouldn't have worn when I was at a much lower weight without the BBL. Like I feel confident, you know, wearing like crop tops and bodysuits and going out in public with a swimsuit. That's all been great. Like I went to a pool party in San Diego this summer. Ooh. Never like would I ever went to that without this BBL. Like I think like the most or like the biggest change with that surgery was just like the liposuction on my stomach and love handles. Okay. It wasn't ever to, you know, have like a Kim K booty or anything like that. Just getting more of like that hourglass figure and a flatter stomach. So even like now that I weigh more, I still like the shape of my body, which I've never ever liked the shape of my body. Even in high school, you know, when you're 100 pounds, I didn't like the shape of my body. But now I do.
Like that.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on. Listen, it doesn't matter if we don't release this.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad I came.
I'm glad you came too. I think it's a beautiful episode. I think it tells a beautiful story about friendship. I think it paints a beautiful picture of like you are a powerful woman.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Like the goals that you set for yourself and then actually go out and accomplish, it's really impressive.
Thanks.
And that's one of the reasons I've always been drawn to you just as a friend and as a person is you've always inspired me. So I hope you know that.
Thanks.
I love you.
I love you too.
Thank you so much for listening to The Naked Patient Beyond the Operating Room. I'm Dr. Nicholas Howland. Please remember that every patient who appears on this podcast has consented to discuss their story and their surgery on the podcast. That way we remain HIPAA compliant. This is a free podcast. The best thing that you can do for us is to leave us a review online. Let us know what you liked. Let us know what you'd like to hear. Let us know how we can improve. If you are curious about anything related to plastic surgery, you can reach out to me on Instagram at Dr. Nicholas Howland, and I typically respond there, or you can reach us at the office at 801-571-2020, or we have an online form you can fill out at the website, www.howlandplasticsurgery.com. Any of our coordinators would be happy to help you. Thanks again for listening.
Thanks for listening to the Naked Patient Podcast. Stay tuned for the next episode. Till next time.